just got back from Puerto San Carlos and wanted to give you guys a quick summary of the work that was done. So if you're not familiar with the work that I've been doing, Operation Trash Route is a project that was conceived basically after I went to Baja, California on a research project with Scripps Institute of Oceanography and Engineers for Exploration. I think you can see them there. And what we did there was we wanted to monitor the changes of the mangrove ecosystems. But while I was there, I saw trash everywhere and I learned the sad truth about how trash is managed in these regions. And I did more research and found that trash is managed this way all around the world. And basically, the big issue is that people just dump the trash wherever it's convenient. They don't really invest in infrastructure to manage the waste. And we end up with trash just blowing all over the communities, all over the ecosystems and places that really we don't want to see plastics and other things. And this is where a lot of the waste is coming from that's ending up in our oceans. So the Philippines, Indonesia, and a number of other countries are really huge contributors. China is the biggest. And it's really sad because even in this area where, you know, they have some designated desert land where they're dumping this trash, they're still burning it. And they're burning it in a really open space. It's not like what they're doing in Europe or Sweden where they use an incinerator and they burn it at such high temperatures that basically we end up with a much safer methodology for dealing with trash with respect to basically breaking it down into its base elements, nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, and compounds that are actually safe to release into the atmosphere. Because here what they're doing is basically releasing poisons and toxins into the atmosphere, dioxins and a number of other things. When I was out there personally, just taking photos and filming, I got sick and I felt terrible for about 3-4 hours. And we also ran into a woman who was a nurse for one of the local communities, and she said, yeah, this burning causes lots of problems with people. They have a lot of stomach problems, they get diarrhea, they get all kinds of issues. So, you know, that's obviously something that needs to change, and we are going to continue to work on changing that kind of stuff in the future, working with a lot of the people we met. We met a number of political figures that are very prominent in that community, and we also met the owner of a thermoelectric plant. So they're all very supportive of the work that we're doing, and they know it's a problem. We will definitely be going back and introducing new technologies and new, you know, potential solutions to these problems. And before I jump back into the main focus of this video, I want to give a big thank you to my translator, Sanchez, for helping me connect with all these people in this community on my most recent trip back to Puerto San Carlos. Now, the work that was completed mainly focused on addressing the illegal dumping of trash into ecosystems surrounding this community. And the big problem that I see is that drivers are getting paid before they deliver that trash to a designated waste management facility. To mitigate this issue and to solve this problem, I figured the best way to do it was to ensure that they only got paid once they actually made it to the landfill with the trash that they picked up. So I went ahead and built Uber for trash, essentially, and the software was something that we really wanted to focus on testing out in this community. To test this software, I needed to get an internet connection, and I needed to be able to do some field testing of my own before I put it in front of any of the users that would potentially be engaging in the pickups and cleanups of these beaches and pickups from the different community members. So I spent some time in La Paz looking for a cell phone data connection. I ended up buying a SIM card. It cost me about 100 pesos for 800 megabytes of data. With this, I was able to go into Puerto San Carlos and see how fast their internet was, and surprisingly, it was really, really fast. The GPS worked very well, and I was able to navigate to the dump sites fairly easily with a couple modifications. I ended up adding a satellite mapping system and a compass to ensure that I had a good heading on the direction I was going, so that way I could find the point that I was trying to find really easily. Now, once I had finished tweaking the application and getting it into the position that I felt was usable for a driver, we sat down with a few different drivers and asked them what they thought about it, and they told us that it made a lot of sense and it was really easy to use. The translation was correct and there was no real issues that they saw with it, and they were actually really excited for the potential to make extra income using this application. The next thing that we wanted to do was ensure that they could actually find a pickup site using the application. So in order to do that, we set up a single job that they could request from the server. So there was only one job available. I knew where the location was. We drove out there and we waited for them. We told them, accept that one job and meet us at this site. Now, it ended up working really, really well. They were able to find that site really easily, and I'm happy to say that in the future we will actually be changing a few little things, because we did find that they were concerned with one thing in particular, and that was the amount of data that it was consuming. So they were able to find the site, but I do want to be able to make this less data intensive for them and other communities around the world. So that way, when they do use the application, all they need to do is have a Wi-Fi connection to accept a job and to complete a job. But the fact that they are actually able to use the application to find the site is very, very promising, and it's really just a proof of concept for the work they were trying to complete. Now, they made it out to the site, they did the cleanup, and then they took it to the dump site and they completed the cleanup. One of the things that I've set up to basically ensure that they're actually completing these jobs is a photo system that requires them to take a picture of the trash when they arrive at a pickup, and then they take a picture of the trash once they have loaded it into the back of their vehicle. And as soon as they arrive at the final destination where they're going to be dumping the trash, they are then asked by the application to take a final photo of the trash in their vehicle to ensure that nothing fell out and they actually arrived with a full load. This helps us also instill this sense of personal responsibility, while also giving me the power to look back on these drivers' work and ensure that they're actually completing the jobs as we would like them to complete them. So we can use machine learning, OpenCV, a number of different things to kind of flag things that are fishy and do some human review, and hopefully with enough training we'll be able to actually automate that entire system. But the main thing that really was insightful and exciting for us was how passionate a lot of these people were about having this business tool that they could actually start their own business in this area and make some money from it. Now, we pay them enough money to cover their vehicle expenses and other expenses related to their cell phone, plus $8 per cubic meter that they collect and deliver. Now, the next thing that really came up out of this was, well, obviously it costs money for them to operate and run this business. Can we get the local community to buy into this system? And will they actually pay for a garbage collection service? And how much will they pay? So a couple of the women who were really passionate about this project went around with us to talk to a few different people in the community. We ended up talking to, I think, about between 15 and 20 people. And on average, they said they were willing to pay 50 pesos for a garbage collection service. And we showed them the app and how they would use it. So they would essentially take a picture of the garbage that they want collected, and it would just log the GPS location that they were at. And then they would essentially accept the job and pay the 50 pesos, and that would be dispatched through the system. Now, this really enables this tool to be used by more than just my organization, and can be run by more than just donations. So it really becomes this entrepreneurial tool that these people can use to build their own businesses, which really excites me because that empowers the community to kind of be responsible for the trash in their own communities, and to really take steps towards cleaning up their communities, because a lot of these people were concerned about the trash and about all these problems. And we found when we were talking to these people that one of the big issues was the trash was actually not being collected very often. It was only getting collected once a month, which really isn't enough. And one of the big problems that we found to be causing this reduction in pickups, and they only have a 75-liter can. So the big problem was that the community only had one garbage collector for 5,400 people. And this garbage collector sometimes only worked 3 hours a day, even though he was getting paid for 8 hours a day. This led to us really wanting to sit down with the man in charge of this municipality. And eventually, on the last day, we actually were able to sit down with him and show him the application and show him the software, and break down the solution that we were offering. He was very excited about the potential of it and was supportive of what we were doing. We definitely will be going back to give them an updated version of the software that they can use within the municipality. And this really was exciting for me because that means we potentially have this government to business relationship and contract that we could essentially establish, which will help us prove that we can improve the efficiency of a garbage collection service that is provided by the government. Now, the next thing that I really wanted to dig into was this card game that I developed to really integrate a cultural change into the community and hopefully all of Latin America. So I created this game. It's called Multiverse Mania, Cards for Conservation, and the main idea behind it is to introduce people to new ideas and knowledge as well as technologies surrounding environmental pollution and ways to mitigate that environmental pollution. Now, we sat down the first day with Andreas, he was a researcher. I can't remember his last name off the top of my head at the moment, but he was a researcher that was studying the impact of shrimp farming in the region. And he helped me iron out a lot of the grammatical errors that were introduced by Google Translate. And then he actually sat down with some people and tested the software on his own. Me and my translator weren't there at the time, and we videotaped the whole thing, and he said that they had a really good time playing the game, and I reviewed the video and it looks like they had some good laughs. And even Chalita, one of the women who was very helpful in connecting us with people in the community, she actually said she wanted to keep the game, but I needed the translations, so I took it back home and told her I'd send her a official copy once I had finalized everything. So keep your eyes open, because I also have this in English, and I've integrated a few other features for learning languages, and it's really just a great, quick game that you can play and learn new things about the world and pick up some new vocabulary in your native tongue as well as a new language. So in the future, that crowdfunding campaign will definitely be helping fund Operation Trash Route, and donations will be made to One Habitat Foundation. One Habitat Foundation is actually my 501c3 organization, and you can go to my GoFundMe. There will be a link below, and you can donate directly there. So, all in all, the entire trip was very productive, and I definitely am glad that we went down and did this testing. Hopefully I can finish doing some fundraising and get enough money together to finish the software and continue developing new waste management practices in the region. We just started talking to another organization about introducing a incinerator into the area, but I need to do more research into what these incinerators are actually releasing into the atmosphere and if these incinerators are safe enough to use. But go ahead and subscribe, and I'll keep you updated on my progress with all of that research, the vlog series from the entire trip, and how this product engineering came to be. So thanks for watching, and until next time.